Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna run you through exactly why you're not landing any appointment setting positions and why, despite all of your efforts, you are still failing and getting no success with it, okay? Now, appointment setting is not saturated, it's not too hard, and you do not need loads of experience to start. I'm gonna completely debunk those myths in this video. I'm gonna run you through exactly how you can start getting results today. I'm gonna expose the wrong strategy that you're doing and the right strategy that you should be doing. And why should you listen to me? I've been in this space for about 2 years now. I've worked with some of the biggest names, such as Charlie Morgan and William Brown, and appointment setting and these strategies that I'm gonna share with you today is exactly what has allowed me to make well above £5,000 a month with appointment setting alone, right? And quit my dead-end job, live this lavish life of, financial freedom, time freedom, location, for all of this stuff people talk about on the internet I'm living now, okay? And this is exactly how you can do the same thing with this model. So that is why you should listen to me. I'm not just some guy spewing crap on the internet. Well, maybe I am, but I do know what I'm talking about, okay? I didn't just watch a couple of YouTube videos from people that haven't actually done appointment setting themselves. I didn't ask ChatGPT for a quick breakdown of what appointment setting is. I didn't make it all up on the spot. This is 2 years of my research and knowledge and blood, sweat, and tears into this space and experience given to you in a 10-minute video, okay? So the only way we can know what to do right is to understand what you're doing wrong. And it's everything here, okay? So this is the path to failure. Do not do any of this stuff that I list right here because it's probably what you're doing right now. So I'm gonna expose it and I'm gonna tell you very strongly not to do it. Number one is applying to 7 jobs and 7 jobs only and then going, you know what? Didn't get any responses, didn't get any kind of results, didn't land a position, didn't get any XYZ kind of result. So I'm gonna stop, okay? Appointment setting saturated, it's too hard, there's too many people, it's not the thing for me, it's a scam, Aiden lied to me. No, okay? Applying to 7 jobs alone, right? Ignore the rest of this stuff, right? Let's say you've got everything else right, and then you only apply to 7 jobs. That's still gonna shoot yourself in the foot. How can you expect to land a position, right, after just applying to 7 jobs, right? You wouldn't do that in a normal 9 to 5. If you were desperate to quit your job and make well above £5 a month, which is basically what the topic of this video is for, right? And I'm showing you how to do. But that's a bold claim. That's a bold thing to do, okay? That's not natural. Not many people can do that, right? So it's not going to be as easy as you just going onto Facebook groups and going, yeah, apply, yeah, setter, I'm interested, setter, I didn't get any responses. It doesn't work like that, okay? You need to put in a little bit more effort, and I'll get into a bit more detail on that later on in the video. But applying to 7 jobs and calling it a day. No, you need to do more than that, okay? So just being very inconsistent with your application process, okay? That's only the start of it. That's just the tip of the iceberg. And then having an immature looking page. Now, doing that and then applying to 7 jobs, that's just like, you're just really shooting yourself in the foot. Having an immature looking page, what I mean by that is, let's say you're out with your friends and you've got pictures of you basically nearly dying, like just off your head on drugs, nearly dying in a ditch with your mate, and you think you look cool, so you post it on your Instagram. I see people do that. You need to hide that from your page if you're going to be applying to these positions, okay? You wouldn't do that on a normal job. You wouldn't show your friends and family that, well, maybe you would. But like, do you really think these guys that are like big time professional business owners are going to want to hire someone who posts pictures of them getting drunk and nearly killing themselves on a night out in a ditch, right? It's not cool, okay? And sharing your controversial beliefs on what you think about Andrew Tate or Donald Trump or politics, I don't like, whatever, right? Keep it to yourself. Having an immature looking page is going to shoot yourself in the foot. And it's probably one of the most important points that I'm going to break down in this video. This will really shoot you in the foot. Other than just applying to 7 jobs and 7 jobs only, having an immature looking page is going to be the real stinger, okay? Because these guys will make a decision on you based on the first 5 seconds of looking at your page. So if they see one picture or one like post about what you think about Andrew Tate or Donald Trump, but if they see one thing and it scares them off, you're burnt, okay? But that's done. They're not gonna speak to you or entertain you, right? So give yourself some leverage and stop like having an immature looking page of you getting drunk with your friends and doing immature things, right? Don't incriminate yourself. You wouldn't do it in a normal 9 to 5, so you shouldn't do it here, okay? Stop having an immature looking page and stop applying to 7 jobs and 7 jobs only and then calling it quits because it didn't work, right? It didn't work because you're doing it wrong. Number 3 is having zero market understanding. Now this is a big one. If you're applying to, let's say the market that you pick to get into for appointment setting is the fitness coaching market. And let's say you want to work with a guy that helps dads that are overweight get a 6-pack. Busy dads that are overweight, they want to get a 6-pack, okay? There's a coaching program teaching them how to do it. And you're basically trying to get people on an appointment to sell that program. How are you going to have any kind of leverage, right? Which I'll get into in a minute, having zero leverage, right? I'll get into in a minute. But how are you going to have any kind of like leverage or kind of one up from everyone else if you don't understand any kind of like lingo or terminology from that market? And I'm not talking about knowing it inside out, but if you picked a market that you want to get into, you need to know it on a base level. And I'm not talking about, knowing it inside out and knowing everything about it, but I'm talking about knowing terms like, for example, fitness coaching. I don't know, time under tension, progressive overload, calorie deficit, calorie surplus. See, well, I'm not in the fitness coaching market, so I don't need to worry. But you know what I mean? Having like lingo terms or terminology that you can kind of use to show that you've done some research is going to help so much more than if you don't, okay? Because otherwise you're just going to alienate yourself. If they ask you something like, what's a calorie deficit? Just to see if you've done some research on that market and see if you'd actually be, like, the thing is, you're going to be talking to people in this market, right? You're going to be talking to people in the fitness coaching market and helping their clients get results. They're not going to hire someone that doesn't even know what a calorie deficit is, okay? Which is like one of the key things about fitness and like losing weight and getting a six pack. Do you see the point I'm trying to make? You need to understand it at a base level. And the people that apply to these jobs have done no research. They have an immature looking page and they only apply to 7 jobs. But having no research at all is really going to shoot yourself in the foot. Now, point number 4 is having 0 leverage. Now that ties into the point above, having no leverage because you haven't done some research. But what I mean by this is when you apply to 7 jobs, you've applied to 7 jobs and left it at that. Okay, for example, these guys will have a job post saying, comment setter, if you're interested in this position and we'll consider you. You comment setter with an immature looking page, right? And then you don't follow up, okay? And you don't reach out on every other platform, which is probably the most, like, other than having an immature looking page, that's probably like the second most important part of this entire process. How can you expect to, like, a lot of people want to get these kind of positions, okay? It's a very sought after kind of model appointment setting, right? So how are you going to have any leverage if you're not going to follow up with the leads that you applied to or try and reach them on every other platform? Because here's the thing, people go onto Facebook groups, they see job posts for appointment setters, it gets 100 comments, 100 people comment setter. You think, oh, it's 100 people too saturated. No, you need to understand that these people are just commenting setter with an immature looking page, and then they give it up, and then they're going, oh, that will do, that's an application. No, it's not, okay? You need to do more than that. You need to find them on Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I'm trying to think of other ones, you know what I mean? Any other kind of social media platform, their email address, their phone number, their home address, send them a postcard if you have to, right? Just go above and beyond. That's having leverage compared to everyone else, especially if you have no sales experience or kind of appointment setting experience, which doesn't really matter, and I'll get into that later on in the video. But how are you going to stand out? Okay, so you apply to 7 jobs, you've got an immature looking page, you don't even understand the terminology of the market, and then you're not going to follow up. Like, how do you expect to just go, oh, I'm making $5,000 a month online now? It's more complex than that, all right? So number 5 is, 5, okay. Impatient, and this ties into applying to 7 jobs. Like, what you're trying to do here is a very bold claim, right? You're trying to quit your job and make well above $5,000 a month online, all right? And it's possible because I've done it and I'm doing it now. I'm still in the appointment setting space. So it's not just crap that I'm spewing online, like I said at the start of the video. But being impatient, you know, I didn't get it straight away. I got very lucky. I got it within the first 6 weeks of me trying. But like, I didn't give up because I applied to 7 jobs and then I got nothing, you know? I had to be a lot more patient. I understood that what I was trying to do, I was trying to quit my job and work from my phone and be able to travel the world and meet all of these great people. That's not an easy thing to do, especially when you don't know what the hell you're doing, okay? This is a big one, not knowing what the hell you're doing and then trying it yourself for 2 weeks with no correct strategy, no one coaching you on how to do it, and then calling it quits, okay? That's a big thing that people fail with as well. So they're being impatient and they have nobody showing them how to do it, right? If you're gonna learn how to do it, you want someone who's actually done it before and knows what they're talking about, not just go on YouTube to some guy that hasn't even been in the space, okay? Which is a lot of people in this space, unfortunately. So actually, quick plug while I'm here. If you wanna learn the correct strategy on how to do it properly, if you want basically me to hold your hand, okay, make sure you're doing everything right, because like I said, I've done this myself multiple times. I'm still doing it now, okay? I haven't done appointment setting 2 years ago and then I've just kind of moved to something else and then the same strategies I was using before don't really work anymore. No, I'm still doing this today, okay? So if you want someone to hold your hand the entire way and get you out of your dead end job that I know you hate, because I was doing the same thing. If you want to do it the right way the first time with no mistakes, okay, get it really bloody quick, book a call down below. There's gonna be a link. I'll run you through how to do it and I'll make it impossible for you to get the same results. Now, full transparency, of course, it will be a sales call. So if you don't want to be sold to, don't book a call. But if you're serious about making this work and stop making this mistakes and these, this endless cycle of doom, book that call and I'll run you through it, okay? But yeah, quick plug over. So, impatient. It's a big thing you're trying to do here. If you've got no coaching and you've got no nothing, no leverage, no market understanding, you have an immature page and you're only applying to 7 jobs, you need to be a bit more patient, okay? And even if you're doing things right, you still have to be patient because like I said, it's a big thing you're trying to do here, right? So yeah, impatient and inconsistent. So this also ties into basically everything, okay? Inconsistent with following up, inconsistent with finding them on other platforms and trying to get your foot in the door, inconsistent with applying to jobs, inconsistent with making your page look professional, inconsistent with learning about the market. Like, these are all of the things you're doing wrong, okay? This is the path to failure. Applying to 7 jobs, immature page, no market understanding, no leverage, no patience, and you're very inconsistent, okay? That is a path to failure, and it's exactly what you're doing wrong, and it's why you haven't landed a position yet. But the way that we do this properly, okay? And I know this sounds very basic for this video, but I have to break it down for people because it seems to be like not many people seem to understand it. So I know it sounds basic, but a lot of people are still making the same mistakes, so I have to make it clear and I have to bring it to light. How do you do it right? You apply to 10 plus per day. I'll do even more. I'll do 20 or 30, okay? If you're really serious about making this work, don't apply to 7 and then call it quits. Like, do 10 minimum per day, right? I'd do 20, 30, I'll do as many as I can. I'll create as many accounts as I can possible. I would spend all day, every day, just applying to positions, right? Just bam, 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 bam. I want this, bam, bam. It's actually what I did, okay? And that's how I got my first position paying above 5K a month, right? So, well, I did start off at 5K. I got really good and then I got to 5K. But I think I started at, I'm getting off topic here, but I think I'd have started at, I was making, sorry, my battery's dying. I think I started off at making triple my wage and my dead-end job. Then I quit that, and then because I went full-time, I then hit 5K a month because I was using all the hours I was using at that job to do that instead, and then I made more money, okay? Which is what you can expect too. So apply to 10 per day like I did, right? You're gonna speed it up much faster. You're gonna have a professional and intriguing looking page. This is not hard to do. Like, if you really have to pay someone on Fiverr to just like edit like a photo of your face to be in a tuxedo or a suit or something, just, you know what I mean? Just make yourself look presentable, okay? What would you want to see if you were hiring someone for your business? You don't want to see someone getting drunk in the ditch with their friends, right? You want to see someone who's actually mature, intriguing, and professional, and makes you ask questions. Oh, this guy looks quite cool. What does he do for, what's he doing? Oh, what's his story? You want to make people want to seem like they want to talk to you, okay? So that's very important. If you don't do that, again, that's probably the foundation of all of this, having a good looking page, because these guys will make a decision based on the first 5 seconds of whether they want to hire you or not, okay? So keep that in mind, very important. And number 3 is understanding the market. And of course, doing some research, okay? Doing some research on the market that you're getting into. So I recommend when anyone's getting into appointment setting and they want to do it long term, is to pick a market that they want to get into to scale long term, okay? It's fine to do positions here and there, like different markets in each one when you're first starting out, but long term, you want to pick a solid market that you're going to leverage for everything long term. Okay, so for example, if you're doing fitness coaching, you can't expect to have any leverage of that long term if you don't do any kind of research, right? Very important. So understanding the market that you're actually getting into, okay, and always learning more about it, because it's going to give you more leverage and it's going to help you book more people into the appointments, because you're going to know exactly what you're talking about and exactly what you're doing, okay, especially in the early days. Now, number 4 is leveraging past experience. So you may think, I don't have any experience, I don't have any sales experience, right? You don't really need any, okay? I think I've made a video on this already, but you don't need to have experience to do appointment setting. You really don't, okay? I started when I was on the till at an old retail job, like serving people their food. I was making £10 an hour, and I was shy, I was an introvert, like all of this stuff. I still managed to land a position because, you know what? I was highly coachable, I was persistent, and I seemed like a decent person. I had a mature looking page. So someone gave me a shot, okay? And I got lucky. That's without the strategies that I know now. Like all of the stuff that I know now, that was without doing that. Just from having a mature looking page, being highly coachable and persistent, I managed to land a position that got me out of that dead end job and to where I am now, okay? So that is very important. Leveraging past experience. If you've worked in retail, leverage it, okay? It's still experience. Appointment setting is a very basic level skill. It's talking to people, trying to get them to book an appointment. It's not hard, okay? It's speaking to people. It's having good people skills. If you've worked in retail for a couple of years, which a lot of you guys might if you're just teenagers, because that's where you kind of start out within the job market, that's experience you can leverage, okay? You've spoken to people all day, every day for 2 years straight. That is good people skills, and that will transfer into appointment setting, and it shows you're consistent, okay? So even if you've only worked in retail, use that as experience. Let's say you've worked on like any kind of thing where it involves speaking to people, you can use as sales leverage. You don't need to have experience selling 10 grand deals over the phone. Trust me, working in Tesco's or Sainsbury's is enough, okay? If you position it correctly, which I can also show you how to do, right? So very important. And also being extremely patient. Even if you have the right strategies that I'm giving you right now, you need to understand this is gonna take a couple of weeks, probably not even that, a couple of months, right? To make 5 grand a month, like online from someone who's made nothing so far, you're gonna have to be a bit patient, okay? It's gonna work, but you can't expect to do it in like a week, right? You're gonna have to give it a little bit more time. Even if you are doing the right things, still be patient, okay? Because being impatient is gonna shoot you in the foot. Now, number, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 6 is being very consistent. Now, of course, Goes without saying, I've just said it there, being impatient and being inconsistent is what's going to shoot you in the foot. So being very consistent, following up absolutely everywhere, follow up everywhere. One of the main topics of the video, main points of the video, right, is to follow up everywhere and have a mature looking page. These two alone are the only things you really need to focus on, like macro, okay? These are macro things you want to focus on. Very consistent, apply to 10 jobs per day, even more, and follow up everywhere. Find their email address, their phone number, their home address, send them a postcard if you have to, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, anywhere, okay? Follow up and get your foot in the door because they will appreciate you for it. You may think it's a bit too much to follow up on all of these platforms. Believe me, it's not. Do you know why? Because the traits of being a good appointment setter is being consistent. So if you have no experience of appointment setting, but they can see that you've literally found them on every single platform just to get your foot in the door about having a position, they're going to think, oh wow, this guy's persistent, he can do this when he's working for me, and if he can do that, he's going to book me a lot of appointments, he's going to make me a lot of money, and this guy's going to be a good candidate, okay? So yeah, that is pretty much it. Very consistent. Two main macro topics, macro points to take away from this video is follow up absolutely everywhere and have a mature looking page, okay? So that's pretty much it. Do that and you're going to get better responses.